All right, so picture this. Our protagonist, Satoshi, is completely exhausted. All he wants to do is just take a quick nap. But instead of getting some well-deserved rest, he's suddenly thrust into this gamified boss test right before the final quest. Welcome to this explainer, where we're stepping back into the awesome anime-style universe of the Satoshi journey. Today we're unpacking episode 8, titled The Memory Test, to break down 5 absolutely crucial financial concepts. The story uses this really clever narrative setup to review the core mechanics of digital money, and we're going to explore exactly how it all works together.
So, Satoshi is just lounging on the couch, right? Newspaper draped over his face, totally zoned out, when suddenly this aggressive, robotic voice, which they call the system, echoes inside his head with a massive ultimatum. Before he and his niece Alicesa can even think about entering the final quest, they have to pass a memory test. And here's the kicker. If Satoshi lets her answer incorrectly, he loses 100 of his own lifespan points per wrong answer. No pressure, right? It's this crazy high-stakes scenario that forces our super reluctant creator to play the role of a strict examiner just to survive.
Now, Satoshi is understandably annoyed. I mean, he literally created this entire system, so being bossed around by it is kind of infuriating. But here is where the story does this brilliant fourth wall break. The system straight up tells him this test is only happening because the viewers, yeah, that's us, need a recap before the season finale. Because, ratings are dropping. Satoshi just looks deadpan, right into the camera, completely bewildered, and asks out loud, "Who are you talking to? What viewers?" It's hilarious, and it instantly pulls us right into the exam room alongside Alicesa. Okay, let's dive into this. Satoshi sits up, lets out a huge sigh, and tells Alicesa to shut her notebooks. The stakes are officially set. If she passes, bubble tea is on him. But if she fails, she's buying his coffee for a whole month. With a dramatic snap of his fingers, 5 glowing holograms just materialize in the air. These represent 5 rapid-fire questions to test everything she knows. So the question is, can you pass this rapid-fire test alongside her? Let's find out.
Right out of the gate, Satoshi points to the very first hologram. It's an everyday coffee cup, but it's intertwined with a crackling bolt of lightning. He looks at Alicesa and asks a seemingly simple question. What is Bitcoin actually used for in day-to-day life? And Alicesa, she nails it without missing a single beat. She explains that it's designed for fast, everyday spending. By utilizing the Lightning Network, it acts as a true peer-to-peer payment system. And the best part? It completely cuts out the middleman. You don't need a massive bank to approve you buying that morning coffee. The transaction is frictionless, immediate, and totally in your control.
Moving right along, Satoshi doesn't even pause. He points to the second glowing image, a cute pink piggy bank. But there's a major problem here. It's got a hole right in the bottom, and it's heavily leaking. He asks her to define the economic phenomenon this represents. Basically, what is inflation?
So, the real contrast we're looking at here is between traditional fiat money and true savings. Alicesa answers it perfectly. Inflation happens when your purchasing power literally evaporates from the paper money you're holding, simply because governments can, and do, print more of it endlessly. It's basically a stealth tax. That leaking piggy bank? It means that even if the physical number of dollar bills you have stays exactly the same, the actual value, the real-world buying power they hold, is constantly draining away.
Boom! On to the third test. Satoshi gestures toward a hologram of a simple house key. He prompts her with what is arguably the most famous phrase in the entire digital asset space, "Not your keys."
And Alicesa instantly fires back, "Not your coins." She expertly breaks down the golden rule of digital self-custody. Look, if you do not physically hold your own 12-word recovery phrase, you are not the true master of your money. It's that simple. You're essentially just asking a third party for an IOU and hoping they honor it. True ownership, that only happens when you control your own keys. You literally become your own bank.
The tension is definitely rising, but man, she is on an absolute roll. For question number 4, Satoshi points to an image of exactly 21 million magic gold crystals. He asks a super fundamental question. Why is this harder and stronger than any other type of money on Earth?
And this brilliantly illustrates the concept of absolute digital scarcity. Alice explains that it operates on a perfect, mathematically enforced limit. There will only ever be 21 million coins. Period. Unlike that leaking piggy bank of fiat currency we talked about, this is a strict, unbreakable rule of mathematics. No government, no corporate CEO, no central bank, literally no one can interfere with it or inflate the supply.
Finally, we've reached the last hurdle. The fifth hologram appears, showing a snapped wire bridge, a powerful metaphor for financial leverage. Satoshi's whole demeanor gets dead serious here as he asks the ultimate question. What is the true purpose of what I created?
This is where Alicesa delivers the defining thesis of the whole episode. She confidently states that its true purpose is to be a financial fire exit. It's a tool specifically designed for everyday people to save their wealth and protect the precious time they've spent working their entire lives. Actually, let's be super clear on this. It was absolutely not built to be some digital casino for high-risk leverage and wild speculation. It is a safety mechanism to escape a failing financial structure, not a toy to gamble with.
So, there's this incredibly tense 3-second silence where Satoshi just stares into the void. And then, he smiles. A glowing UI pops up confirming the quiz is passed. Satoshi is spared from the system's brutal punishment, and his lifespan points are totally safe. Alicesa, who by the way holds a master's degree in finance, smugly points out that these questions were basically child's play for her.
But here's the twist. Satoshi wasn't just testing her memory. He's executing a much larger plan. He pulls out his phone and actually sends her Bitcoin right over the Lightning Network. We hear that super satisfying ding as the funds arrive literally instantly. Alicesa is genuinely shocked he actually paid up, but Satoshi explains his real motive. You see, making her smarter means he has to do way less work in the future. He considers the money an advance payment so that she can go out and argue with the old financial dinosaurs of the traditional system on his behalf.
Which all builds to this wonderfully comedic finish. Just as Satoshi is crawling back under his newspaper to finally get some sleep, he mutters, "Buy me a cup too, less sweet, good night." Alicesa looks down at the money in her digital wallet, rolls her eyes, and realizes she wasn't just being rewarded with financial sovereignty, she was being paid to be Satoshi's bubble tea errand runner. It's just a fantastic, lighthearted way to anchor these really deep economic concepts into a relatable, everyday human interaction.
So the rules of money have been clearly laid out, and our heroes are geared up for what comes next. But as we prepare for Episode 9, the cliffhanger, a massive, system-wide crisis is looming on the horizon. It really makes you think. If the traditional financial structures start collapsing tomorrow, are you left holding a leaking piggy bank, or are you already standing safely by the financial fire exit? Let that sink in. We'll see you next time.